So I want to make a quick video on how I would do Martian Manhunter in the DCEU, and he would have been well established by the time Justice League came around. And that is because I would introduce him in Man of Steel. And this is because Superman is a newcomer, he's this alien, he's this super-powered being that just came out of nowhere. And I believe that would relate to Martian Manhunter's origins, or what we know of his origins in the comics, or at least I do. How white Martians invaded his home, and these, like, people... separate beings just sort of took over and completely annihilated his race, and he had to flee and he ended up on Earth. So he could relate this situation to the white Martians also. He's like, oh fuck, is this going to be a repeat? Oh no. And then, like, you know, the rest of the Kryptonians show up and he's even more worried and he can't trust Superman. He's like, fuck. But the way I would have him hinted at first would be when Superman or Clark is first learning how to fly, he crashes into a mountain on his first attempt before he starts to actually get the hang of it. And the military, I believe, from my memory, I haven't watched it in like a couple of weeks, I believe, and they're all freaking out like, what the fuck, did Kim finally lose it? Like, did North Korea finally fire the nuke? And I'm like, nah, they were just all running around like, what the fuck was that? Because Superman wasn't coming up on their scanners. I would love if the military general just leaned over the like a bench, and he's like, and his eyes glow red, he's like, and it just takes him a second, and he's like, and he nods his head and then gets back up and then like says something to Carol Ferris like, oh, you General Farrell, Colonel Ferris, do this, blah 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 blah, and like it cuts scene, because it would be really cool to see this character be Martian Manhunter, because, you know, he's a well-established person in the society. He's actually a military leader, but he's doing it for the right reasons and not corrupted reasons or just any evil reasons, you know. And he's also, like, working to defend the home of another so that what happened to him doesn't happen to anyone else, which would play into the role of why this general is so suspicious of Superman and why it's highlighted him more so than any other person in the military, really. And I don't think I would have it hinted again, maybe in the interrogation scene where Superman gets up, and since he has X-ray vision, he can see through the one-way mirror, and he's talking directly to the guy's face, and maybe you can have his eyes glow red again, and Superman wouldn't really notice because, you know, he's got X-ray vision on. He wouldn't really see the glint of the guy's eyes if they change for a second, I believe. I'm not really good at that type of stuff, but it'd be really cool to see that, like, both sides of the mirror. Superman's looking in, an obvious alien, but then this guy's behind the mirror, and it could be some sort of symbolism, and his eyes glow red, sort of like he's hidden, while Superman's all open about being an alien, and Martian Manhunter's sort of hiding the fact. And at the end, where they show up again, like where Superman crashes the satellite down to Earth, and the general says, you know how much that cost? Fucking hell. And he's like, how do we know we can trust you? Or, like, I would love if they changed the dialogue to make it seem like he's displaced from humanity, like he's not human, and Superman picks up on it for a second before disregarding it. It's like, yeah, fuck it, anyway. As in, he's saying, how do we know that you have these people's best interest in heart? Like, and Superman was like, wait, did he say these people, not our people, or not the people? Like, what was that? And then anyway, they're like, I'm the most as American as you can get. I grew up in Kansas, blah blah blah, and then flies off. And then, you know, the general smiles and then heads back to the car with Carol Ferris. That'd be it for Man of Steel. Then in BVS, assuming it is Batman v Superman still, if I had it in my dream DCU sequence, but anyway, Martian Manhunter would try and help Lois Lane in proving that Lex Luthor is behind all the crimes that Superman's been framed for, and it would happen like BVS, except for at the end when he finally gets the pieces of evidence she needs to actually prove Lex Luthor is behind everything. He says, okay, this is where our business ends, Miss Lane, and I just want you to know one thing: Superman is not alone. And his eyes glow red again, like giving a symbolism that he's an alien. And Lois would be really shocked, like, whoa, was that heat vision? No, it wasn't. And like, she's really flustered, and she tries to rush after him at night when he like turns a corner in the rain, and he's just gone when she turns the corner. At the like a second later, he's just completely gone. He couldn't have ran, he couldn't have hid in that span of time. He's just gone. And then the next time we would see him is when he's in the room with I believe the two other government officials. While they're saying we should launch the nuke, he's saying, no, don't do it. Superman will be a casualty. Don't do that. Don't, no. And it'll be really cool because we see his progression as, like, maybe, or we already know he's Martian Manhunter, or at least comic fans would know. It's like, there has to be Martian Manhunter. Like, he's actually defending. He's like, no, no, no. Like, he just really wants to blurt out, but he can't. Like, saying like, he's a fellow alien. No, no, no. He just means peace. He doesn't want to do anything like wrong to us. Don't do the same to him. And like, as the nuke is launched, it would be awesome to see the people's reaction and like just what would happen if the general just sort of launched up into the air but didn't bang like through the roof. He just sort of became transparent and just went through everything, like it'd freak out like he was a ghost or some shit. And all you would see before the nuke hit Doomsday and Superman is that a green figure approaches the red and blue of Superman. And as Superman gets his, as it pans over Superman's face getting hit by the sun, you could see a green arm like sort of wrapped around his neck, or sort of like, you know, sort of like holding him up, like supporting him. And then when Superman's eyes open and he gets up, he turns around and he sees this alien in front of him, and it's blatantly Martian Manhunter. He's like, hello, like, Superman, I'm sorry I couldn't help you earlier, or something. Like, I'm sorry I didn't join you earlier. And he reveals himself to be, like, he changes his voice to the general, and Superman would realize he's like, oh my god. And they would have this little talk before they head back to Earth and finish Doomsday with Batman and Wonder Woman, which would be a cool, like, much more awesome scene. Because, you know, I know Wonder Woman's this experienced warrior and she really showed it in the fight. Superman's an amateur, but Martian Manhunter is a legit alien who has this monstrous amount of strength. And I would love to see him take on another alien alongside an alien, and also like a badass, I believe the most grounded person of the entire fight besides Batman. And yeah, that would play out. He would die. Martian Manhunter would be completely depressed or sort of like disheartened. He's like, oh, maybe if I joined earlier, maybe if I told him, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe if I just helped more, and like, you know, all that happened. And then he returns to his role and he explains some stuff, and he's like, you know, something gets smoothed out. Maybe he brainwashes them or something like into forgetting it, because I believe Martian Manhunter can change people's memories or make them forget one certain thing. So he could do that. And then in Justice League, he approaches Bruce, not in Martian Manhunter form, but the General. And it's like, in the Batcave, it'd be really comedic. He's like, what, how the fuck did you get in here? It's like, he'd be really worried, like, all this government official actually walked in the Batcave as he's messing with, like, the Flying Fox or Batmobile or something. And then he's like, reveals himself as Martian Manhunter. He's like, it's okay, I know who you are, I know who you've been for the last, like, 20 years. I've known full well how to stop you and all this, but I haven't, because I know you're a good heart individual. And the same with Diana, I know all about her, and I'm going to help you form this Justice League, or form this team you're looking for, as the threat Lex Luthor talked about is quickly approaching. And it'd be really cool because he could relate to Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg, because all these people feel like outcasts. Batman, he's made himself an outcast. Wonder Woman, she made herself an outcast, but she understands them more than Bruce. And you know, Martian Manhunter actually was forced to be an outcast, and he does know how to get back into the swing of things in being social and being a part of a society that you wouldn't usually fit into. It'd be really cool as he like sort of coaches, I would believe, Cyborg the most, as there's this alien language inside his head. Maybe like he could still hear the voices of his children, or like maybe his wife, or maybe his people in his head, and he's like, you just have to drown them out, or you just have to come to terms with it, and then it'll move on. Trust me, Victor. And then Aquaman, I believe he was an outcast in Atlantis, and then he was an outcast above land. He has no place to live. Martian Manhunter could totally relate to that. It's like, listen, my home got taken away. I was forced to come to Earth. I just want to do best by these people. Will you help me as a fellow outcast? Just help me do this, and I swear we will find peace together, and like all that. And then Flash, he's like, you're a uniquely gifted boy, like, or person, like, come help these people. And like, it would be really easy to turn him. But as Superman comes back, it would be amazing to see Martian Manhunter stand alongside them and possibly help fight Steppenwolf. But yeah, that's been my video on how I would make Martian Manhunter in the DCEU. Thanks for watching, guys and gals. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. See you next video. Bye.